In 2021, when COVID-19 was at its peak, I graduated from high school and was moving to the UK for university. Due to travel restrictions at the time, I had to quarantine in a hotel for 11 days as I landed. But before I get into that, the goal for today's video is to continue making a staircase down to Y level minus 59 so I can get some diamonds. So pretty much once I graduated from high school and started the visa application process for the UK, there were two options that you could choose. You could either go for the fast track option that most of my friends went for. This meant that you would get your decision within a few business days. And the choice that I chose was just the normal version, which meant that you would get a decision within 2 business weeks. To me, paying the extra money did not make sense, but all my friends thought it would be worth it, and at the end they were right. Pretty much they all got their decisions within a week, so they had no problems at all. Well, it took me around 2 months to get a decision, so that made me very late for university. Well, not super late, but a couple weeks late, meaning I missed out Freshers Week and I was so devastated from that. But anyways, I was still very excited to go to the UK, so I started filling in all the documents that you needed to travel at this time. I had to print out and fill out so many documents because I'm from Thailand, and at the time Thailand was in the red list of countries. Every country on this list pretty much had to quarantine for 11 days as they landed, and there were other lists where people had different restrictions. Filling out all those documents took a few days, but once I finally got it done, I made my way to the airport to catch my flight. This was the first time ever where I was flying by myself without my family, so I was super excited. And when I got into the flight, I realized because of COVID, everyone got their own row. Obviously I was in economy, and usually when you're in economy, you know, it's quite tight and you don't really have much space to yourself. Having my own row was absolutely amazing, and the fact that it was my first ever flight by myself, it just made it so much better. This flight was also an overnight flight, so pretty much I just slept for the majority of my flight. I was just lying down across all 3 seats, and it was such a nice sleep. Oh! These creepers are coming out of nowhere. So once I landed, it took them a while to get all the passengers off the flight and onto a bus that would take us to the airport. There was a terminal specifically for the people that were flying in from the red list, so they had to make sure that people from different lists did not end up on the same bus. I think it took us over an hour and a half to finally make it to the airport, and when I made it to the airport, I realized the immigration line was super long. But again, as I said, because I was super excited, I didn't really care, and the line didn't take too long. I think in reality it took like an hour and a half, but in my head it was faster than that because I just wanted to get out of there. So after a while I made it through border control, and this is when I was given the name to my hotel. It was written on a piece of paper, and I had to hand this piece of paper to someone else, and they would exchange it for a number, and with this number it pretty much told me which bus I'm on. People that were going to different hotels were in different buses, so I think it just made it easier for them to organize. That's another diamond right there. My luck with these one veins have been crazy, man. So as I was saying, I collected my bags and I made my way to the bus. It took a while for everyone to get onto the bus and for the bags to be stored under the bus. You know, once all that happened, someone came onto the bus and pretty much was making sure that all the people were on the right bus, and we finally started moving. Not everyone on my bus was going to the same hotel, but I think we all were just going into a similar region. So every time the bus stopped for a hotel and there were multiple stops, it took a very long time at each stop. I'm assuming it took them a while to get everyone off the bus and get everyone their bags and to make sure it's the right people. After a few hours, we finally made it to my hotel, and I got super excited because I was finally going to be allowed to get off the bus. But what ended up happening was the bus was just stationary right outside the hotel for over 2 hours. After 2 hours, someone came into the bus and allowed some of the people to leave because it was their hotel. And it was my hotel as well, and they weren't letting me leave, so I had to raise my hand and ask why I'm not being allowed to leave, and they pretty much just told me to sit tight. And finally, after an hour or so, they let me off. When I finally got off this bus, it took me a while to identify which bags were mine because there were so many bags, but I finally got my bags and made my way into the hotel lobby. When we got into the lobby, they gave us a water bottle and a snack and made everyone sit apart from each other because of COVID, and then they handed us a piece of paper which what the hell is that sound? What? The piece of paper told us how the quarantine would work and also told us to choose what food we would want every single day during our stay. When I say this, I obviously don't mean I can just say pizza and I'll get pizza. There was a few options to choose from, and yeah, that's pretty much it. I filled out the paper, gave the paper back, and after a while, they finally let me into my hotel room. Once I got into this hotel room, I was so surprised how nice it was. It's probably one of the nicest hotels I've ever been to in my life. It had a super nice bathroom, a massive bed, a very nice TV, and this one spinning chair that I sat on for way too long. And yeah, it was super comfortable, and the best thing about it was free. The university reimbursed me for the cost, so it was pretty much just a free hotel stay for 11 days. You know, the hotel was super nice, and I wasn't worried at all that it was going to be a boring 11 days. Oh, that's some more diamonds, isn't it? Oh, let's go. As I stated before, I had a few friends that were also in the exact same scenario as me, and when they were entering their 11-day quarantine, they were super worried that it would be the worst time ever. But to me, I was actually quite excited because the hotel room was so nice. Is that more? Hell yeah. Oh my god, this is amazing. Also, when choosing what hotel you wanted to stay at, you could also choose if you wanted to stay with someone. Some of my friends went for that option and they were just having the greatest time of their lives at that hotel room. But I think I made the right choice staying by myself because I think 11 days being stuck in a room with someone else would make you go crazy. When I say that, I'm talking about you guys would just get angry at each other for something, you know, like you would get annoyed at something they do. It could be them snoring, it could be how they just behave. Like, I don't know. So as I mentioned the food before, I'll get on to how the food was now. I'll be completely honest, the food was terrible. But I'm not a picky eater, so I didn't really care. I still had the food. But the one problem that I did have was the portions were really small. So I remember there were many days where I would have to eat snacks that I brought from Thailand because I wasn't full from the food. And they also didn't give you much water. And if you wanted more water, you would have to pay. And I thought that was just so stupid. But they did give you unlimited milk, so I was drinking a lot of milk during the stay. You were allowed to get like delivery food from like any restaurant, but you were allowed to get food delivered to your room from like restaurants, but I thought it wouldn't be worth it because we were getting food anyways. So how the process worked was they would come to your room every single day at specific times, and they would knock on the door letting you know that they're here with the food. And sometimes they would do it like super early, and the knock would be so loud it would wake you up, and it would scare the like living shit out of me. Also, to make sure that the people in the hotel don't go crazy from just being inside all the time, they allowed every single person to have a 20-minute session of going to like this balcony area where you can get some fresh air. And that's pretty good. You just had to call reception and let them know that you want to use that 20-minute session. After a while, someone would come knock on your door and pretty much lead you to the balcony. I didn't use my 20 minutes every single day, but I used it most days, and it was a pretty good time. I ended up having some good conversations with some of the workers there, so yeah, it was a pretty good time. Towards the end of my stay, so maybe like day 7 or 8, someone messaged me on Snapchat saying if I was at this hotel, and I was so confused. Like, I knew the guy and I'd met him before, but we weren't really close. But what happened was he mistaken me for someone else because me and that guy had the same name, and I just told him no, I'm not that guy. But he was just excited that I was someone he knew, and he pretty much said that he's at the hotel too. I asked him how he knew I was at the hotel, and he just said he saw me on Snap Maps, which I forgot that I had on, so it's actually kind of creepy, but you know what, it's cool, it's just a friend, so it's fine. It's great to talk to him and get to know him better, and pretty much we agreed on meeting the next day. On the same night, another friend posted on their Instagram stories a view from their hotel room, and that view looked very familiar to mine, so I texted him saying if he's, oh, that's no way, bro. I texted him asking if he was at this specific hotel, and he said yeah, and I got super excited because this friend I was actually pretty close to. So all three of us met at the balcony the next day, and we got to get to know each other better, and you know, it was a great time. Those two didn't know each other, but they ended up pretty good friends afterwards, and we ended up doing this for pretty much every single day after that. On the last day of our stay, we all agreed to meet at the balcony at midnight. When it came to midnight, we all called the reception at the exact same time, and those two were allowed to go to the balcony, but they told me that there were too many people on the balcony, so I just wasn't allowed to go. But luckily from my room, I could see the balcony, and they were just having the time of their lives, and they were just pointing up at me and just laughing at me. But at least I somewhat felt like I was included there. And those two ended up staying there for like an hour, even though you were only allowed 20 minutes. We just rubbed salt in my wound, but you know, it was calm. We were just talking through Snapchat, and you know, it was still fun. You might be wondering why I ended up doing for most of the days, because I haven't mentioned that yet. And I'll be completely honest with you, I brought my PS4 from Thailand, and I was just playing GTA 5 story mode the whole time there. Most of my days was wake up, do all the morning stuff, and then just hop onto GTA 5. I think I ended up finishing the story mode by day 8. So I was just watching a lot of YouTube, or I was just on Discord calls with my friends, and yeah, it was actually pretty fun. But if I'm completely honest, if I didn't have my PS4, I would have went crazy in there. The PS4 was the only reason I stayed sane. I actually don't remember if I ended up playing any other games. I feel like I might have played a bit of Rocket League, but it was definitely mostly GTA 5. Oh my god, that's more diamonds! What is going on today? Once my friends left the balcony, I decided I'm gonna go to sleep because it was the last night. But what ended up happening was, at around 5 AM, the fire alarm went off, and I just assumed it's like a fire drill, so I tried sleeping through it, but the alarm wasn't stopping, so it was actually super annoying. And then I heard a loud ass knock on my door. When I opened the door, there was a worker screaming at me, telling me to leave the hotel now and go across the street. At this time, I didn't have my shoes on or my glasses on, I just had a t-shirt and shorts on. So I asked the worker if I could just quickly put my shoes on, and they were like, no, leave right now. So I made my way out of the hotel and across the street barefoot, and it was super cold at this time. It was probably around 10 degrees. I'm from Thailand, so I'm used to like 40 degrees. This was 10 degrees and I was freezing. I ended up meeting one of the friends down there, and it was just quite funny because we've never experienced anything like this before. And honestly, till this day, I have no idea if it was a drill or not, but it couldn't be. There's no way they would make all the quarantine people leave for a drill. When we were down there, we were looking for our other friend, and we started texting him asking where he was, and he replied saying that he's not gonna come out and he's just gonna try sleep through the fire alarm. So what he ended up doing was just putting AirPods on, and he just slept through the whole alarm. This thing lasted like 2 hours or probably more, and he just slept through all of it. So honestly, respect. You know, we were finally allowed in after a while. Once I got in, I packed all my stuff and I made my way out of the hotel. I was super excited that I was going to university, and I was just so happy that I was finally out of the hotel. And yeah, that's pretty much my quarantine experience, guys. The funny thing is, when I was leaving, I actually was a little bit sad, and I kind of wanted to stay for a few more days, which I know sounds absolutely crazy, and I don't know why I wanted to stay, but I did. I'm not saying I would ever want to do it again, but at the time, it was genuinely kind of fun. I read online that a lot of people were having a horrible time during the 11 days, but for me it was honestly a great time. But yeah, as I said, if I didn't have my PS4, I would have hated it so much. So luckily I did that, and yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Let me know down in the comments if you've ever had to quarantine or anything like that. If you ended up enjoying this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and if you're still watching till now, you're definitely enjoying it, so you might as well click on the video that just popped up. Or don't, it's obviously up to you. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great night. Peace.